To the issue of food dyes, Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is expected to call on food manufacturers later this afternoon to phase out the use of 8 dyes in our food supply. Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Tara Narula is here with the latest. So tell us about these particular dyes and the concern here.
Well, this is such a huge topic, and we've come such a long way from the 1800s when we first saw the first synthetic dyes made from byproducts of coal used in butter and cheese to today, where we see lots of these synthetic dyes used in candies, cereals, sports drinks. It's almost everywhere. So we are specifically talking about these 8 synthetic dyes. Now, the FDA has oversight over the synthetic dye arena, and essentially they do review the science, but they say even though they review it, they can't be absolutely certain that there's no risk. Their official position is that while most children have no adverse effects, some children may be sensitive. The big problem here is that we just don't have the research. The research is old, it's mostly in animals, we haven't done post-market research, and we just don't invest in nutrition science or research in general. So what do we know from the research? We know that there are animal studies linking some of these dyes to cancer, and there are human studies linking some of these dyes to hyperactivity, neurologic and behavioral issues in kids, and then some studies showing issues with inflammatory bowel disease and allergies.
So what has the government done so far, and what can people do to protect themselves?
Well, we just heard in January that the FDA basically removed red dye number 3, and companies will have until 2027 to take them out of foods and until 2028 to take it out of medicines. We've seen a lot of states really step forward. We've seen California be a leader in this in terms of taking 6 dyes out of public school lunches. West Virginia also leading in this case. We've seen other countries put bans on some of these dyes, or even warning labels in the EU on 3 of these synthetic dyes, saying that they can be linked to attention issues in children. And then we've seen companies start to make changes. So, for example, some of the products that are used abroad use natural dyes. Those same companies are making those products here with the artificial dyes. So what does this tell us? This tells us that the ability to make these changes, that this is feasible, it can be done, and that this is really the direction that we are heading. And so what can you do as a consumer? You can read the labels, right, and look for anything that says dye number something. You can buy organic, you can use whole foods. A lot of this is really more in those ultra-processed or processed foods. And there are brands that specialize in no dyes.
And we've seen previous administrations take steps where dyes are concerned, haven't we?
We have. Well, I mean, the Biden administration was the one that essentially kind of pushed to get the red dye number 3 out. But I think, you know, most people are not going to argue this, right? There's no value nutritionally to any of these dyes. And there is a potential, at least from the research, for some harm. And you can use natural dyes. So, for example, we just had Easter. You can actually make Easter eggs with, you know, turmeric and cabbage and carrots, right? Yeah. So you can do it. It's being done. We just have to kind of take that
the
next step.
old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way.
Thank you, Dr. Narula.